All right, everybody. So, if you remember from last episode, we fired Chris for just budgeting reasons.
Get him out of here.
We didn't want to handle all that visa bullshit stuff like green card or whatever. So we fired him and we brought Aiden on as the third host. But Aiden said he was too cool for our show. So we decided it's worth to go through all the you know uh all uh the green card stuff. So uh Chris is back on the show.
Get him back in.
Chris, I hope you enjoyed your little vacation, and I'm happy to have you back, man. I really am. Yeah. So no hard feelings that we fired you.
Uh, sure.
Oh, okay, cool.
Get the immigration attorneys on line one.
Get the immigration attorneys on line one, because no, we're not gonna try to. I'm not gonna try to twist that into our intro. Chris, we always got to bring you back because you're family. And that's what today's theme is on this episode of Stacked. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 24 of Stacked. 24 episodes. That's
24.
24. That's as many hours in a day. That's kind of crazy if you think about it. I'm your host, Ethan, along with...
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Chris.
And that's right. We're back on this blessed Black Friday. This comes out on Black Friday. Though if you're participating in Black Friday, you're horrible.
Capitalist.
No. Well, not only that. Yes, that. But also because, come on, we're in a pandemic and you're running down fucking old ladies at Best Buy to get a PS5. Come on.
Give me the PS5.
Stay home, order some stuff on Amazon, and listen to Stacked, Okay?
I got a better idea. Support your local businesses.
Well, technically, we're a local business. It costs nothing to listen to our show, and we make no money from this, so we're kind of like nonprofit, so that's kind of cool. So you're kind of like
good for the public.
You're supporting a charity. We're basically a charity by listening to us. You're just like, I know Brandon's a big numbers guy. He's a big views and clicks guy. So like when he sees those numbers go up on the YouTube videos and our Spotify analytics, like he gets a little chub. He gets a little happy. He lets out a little belly laugh. Brandon, give me your belly laugh. That's a chimp. That's an orangutan laugh. Have you guys ever noticed how an orangutan looks like a ball sack with arms and legs? Anyways, yeah. So for this episode, we didn't really want to go with Thanksgiving movies. A, because there's not very many Thanksgiving movies, and B, it's that. We have some international fans, like Chris, fan and host of Stacked.
One and only.
One and only. I'm a fan and a host of Stacked, but, there's people not everyone celebrates Thanksgiving, but a lot of people do celebrate their family. And Thanksgiving has become more about pilgrims, basically the first... What's that called? Gentrification. The very first American
colonization?
No, I mean gentrification.
Yeah.
Bro, if you think about it, gentrification is kind of like colonization. Well, we're getting woke on the show. No. Seriously, why the fuck do we celebrate Thanksgiving?
I think it's evolved. Go ahead.
And it's it's the history of how the natives helped out the cowboys,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly.
There you go.
That's how it worked, right?
Wait, Chris, I want you, like, literally in your best attempt to tell us what Thanksgiving, why we celebrate Thanksgiving.
The origins of the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the basics of how I understand it. And quite frankly, I think I know it more than the average person abroad who, doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. But
right.
I know it has something to do with the Pilgrims.
Okay.
And
Who were they?
They were pilgrims from the Jesus thing. See what I'm
Okay.
saying?
From the
Yeah.
Jesus thing. That's called
Okay.
Christianity, by the way.
I'm kidding. And then there's another party,
And who are?
the Native Americans. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
That's
really?
good
Yeah.
enough. That's
Yeah.
good enough.
Okay, and then they think they were having some troubles, so they got together and had a little dinner, and we're like, hey, we should do this more often.
That's an oversimplification.
But is the fundamental not right there?
They were having some troubles, and they said, "Hey, you want to go grab dinner?"
You want to go to a Jollibee down the road?
That's what Filipino Thanksgiving's like.
Yeah, so Chris basically summed it up, but I personally, that's not why I celebrate Thanksgiving anymore these days. Brandon, you said like the holidays evolved.
Right. I feel like when you're a child and you're like taught in school about Thanksgiving and Christmas, or like what they mean, it's kind of like they give you like this religiously backed Western's tale of, oh, the Westerners were just settling here, or Jesus was born on this day, so we celebrate it, But since I think the holidays have kind of taken on new meaning about family and giving and values, rather than just connected to like the same old religious folk tales that you hear every year when you're in elementary school. So for me, I mean, I celebrate it more just giving to family and just spending time and enjoying it with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about being thankful that you still have a family for those privileged enough to still have a good old family that supports them and loves them, And if you don't, then you sometimes make your own families, Like I think we'll be talking about a lot in this movie podcast. I don't know why I said this movie. Yeah, I saved myself by saying movie podcast. In this podcast, films that are like friends as family, and you making your own family if your family's not that great. So, we had a good time. We had a Friendsgiving last, what was that, Sunday? Yeah, on Sunday. We had a little Friendsgiving, got together, socially distanced out on the quad. Everyone brought their own food. Brandon told me I could bring anything I wanted. So I brought 2 bags of gummy worms.
And I think, was it only like you who ate it?
Brandon had a few, but yeah.
Brandon, wait. I, Cody, and Ethan had them all.
Brandon had a few. Brandon, can you only refer to yourself in third person this podcast?
No.
No, that's ridiculous. No.
I would never.
I would never. But yeah, so we'll be breaking down what it means to be a family through the films that we picked, and I think I picked out some good ones. I don't know about you two, but I think mine are pretty good. So
I would be surprised if we didn't have it double stacked.
You would be surprised if we didn't?
Yeah.
I don't think I would be surprised if someone had a double stack with mine.
I don't think anyone's gonna pick mine, but let's see.
All right. Well, maybe I'm wrong.
Brandon's like the Addams Family values.
Only movies
Did
with
you
family.
know that?
You remember that movie with Michelle Pfeiffer and Robert De Niro?
No.
I think it's called The Family.
Ah.
So look that up. Put that poster on the screen, Ethan.
I'm good.
Did you guys know that they're in one of the Addams Family movies, they have another child? And did you know that child's name?
Yes, it's Pubert, of course.
Pubert.
Put up a picture of Pubert. Look at him.
Pubert
But not
Addams.
The Family starring Robert De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, Pubert's way more important. Also, put up that creepy looking doll of Pubert. Yeah, there he is. Chris, keep scrolling through and you'll find this scary looking doll of Pubert.
I've never seen The Addams Family, so I wouldn't know.
That's so weird that you brought up Pubert on this podcast because
You're talking about Addams
I was
Family,
just joking about with the Jungle Thick Boys about Pubert the other day. It's
who
funny.
names their kid Pubert?
I know. It's like calling your kid Pube.
That's probably what they called him, like by his name. Anyway,
Hey, Pube.
Ethan, I got a question for you.
Yeah?
How does this show work?
What a great transition. Woo! You get the award there. Well, Chris, I'll tell you how this show works.
Cancel.
Once a week, we set a topic or theme, go our separate ways to construct our own 3-film stack. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks one film at a time. Then at the end of the show, we will mix and match our 9 films to make the ultimate signature what quintessential 3-film stack we're checking out at this hypothetical video store. Woo, I'm getting faster and faster. Speed me up, hey. Speed me up, hey.
Beat
All right,
me up,
so
Scotty.
that's how the show works. Family movies. I'm starting with my first family movie.
Uh-oh.
Now,
Ice
this
Age.
Ice Age. Oh shit! I could have. Y'all are lucky. It's not. I didn't do it. That's a good one. But shit. But it does follow the same themes as Ice Age. This is a newer movie. Came out in 2019. No, 2018. 2018. I saw it in 2019. Sorry, this is so interesting. It is a Japanese film directed by Hirokazu Koreeda. It's called Shoplifters.
Oh,
What did you think?
Daddy's home too.
I said it's a Japanese film.
Akira Kurosawa's Daddy's Home too.
Akira Kurosawa's.
The poster.
No, I'm not gonna Photoshop that poster. Jesus. I'm not gonna waste the precious seconds of my life that I have to Photoshop Akira Kurosawa's name on the poster for Daddy's Home 2. How dare you?
Oh my god. So tell us about Daddy's Home too.
No. Okay, well, I'll tell you about Daddy's Home 2. No, I will tell you about the movie Shoplifters. Now, this, like I said earlier in the podcast, this is really about people finding and forging their own family, a bunch of outcasts, sort of taken advantage of and cast out by the Japanese capitalist society, where they just can't make a break and make a decent living. So it stars a husband and wife and then 3 kids that they find, and then an old lady, which they call grandma. And it's just like, the director does such a good job at making really, like, you feel part of this family, you start, like, you see the movie starts by this family. Most of them have been established, but they find this little girl in a rather abusive household, and they kind of just like steal her, they steal her away, and you're sort of seeing through this family through the lens of that little girl, and how they really do love each other by how they share a bond in like these economic struggles, and it's such a wholesome film about love and people loving each other and supporting each other and doing things for the ones that you love. I had to see this movie twice in theaters. I loved it so much, and yeah, it's a great film. I know you both have seen it. So what do you guys think of Shoplifters?
So, oh man, I remember seeing this movie like right after they announced the Oscar nominations. So I think I literally saw it the day after, and yeah, Ethan, you really nailed it on the head when you were talking about how there's this really like endearing like sensibility and gentleness to this film, whether that's through the direction, the performances, or the way in which the film's constructed. It's a really heart-wrenching movie. And yeah, you really do get like this perspective of seeing how these people are unified by this like shared struggle in the difficult economy. And I think like one thing that really stood out to me is like how like how the film depicts the lengths at which people who care and love each other are willing to go to protect one another and to provide for one another. And I don't know, it's just like, it's a very like wholesome but like still kind of like dramatic movie. Like there's this one scene where the grandmother character is watching her family like standing by the beach shore.
On the beach. Oh, that's my favorite scene in the movie.
It's so good. And like you just, that gaze of like a person who is reflecting upon their own life through this, like, the things that she's going to be leaving behind when she passes away one day. There's something so existential about that, and I think they really nailed on the head about like that whole kind of like, like there's just something about that human connection like that is so uniquely powerful. And yeah, I just think it's a very like heartwarming and wrenching movie at the same time.
Right. Brandon?
I think it's a little cold.
Well, there's snow at the movie at the end, if that's what you mean.
I don't mean climate wise. I mean like in the perspective of like I feel like the emotion in it is very muted, and while that's great for like the acting performances, I did not feel the same warmth that you guys felt for the movie in terms of like the character connection between each other. Like I would agree one of my favorite sequences in the film is the beach sequence because it's very subtle and it's one of the briefest glances into this sort of happy life they put together for themselves before it all comes kind of crashing down. And I like the film, but it kind of falls into the same sort of feelings I had for The Farewell in Roma, where I like recognize how well of a film both of those films are, but I was not as attached to the characters or the story as I was with other films, especially from the foreign audiences. So yeah,
Interesting.
but I liked it,
I understand. I completely understand the coldness that you feel. To me, it feels more melancholic. You know,
which is
and
your shit.
that's my shit. I take comfort in that kind of stuff. So I just love that it's people doing the best with what they got. And yeah, great. I adore this film.
Yeah, I think like Brandon, like your like you talking about how like this movie felt a little bit cold to you. It kind of like and I totally get that because yeah, it's a very muted movie. Like it's not expressionistic and a lot of it is not like, tears and crying and outward emotion. And while that can be powerful in some films and of course the muted thing might work better in others, for example, right? Like two of my favorite movies of all time kind of fall on opposite spectrums of the opposite ends of the spectrum for that. In the
Mhm.
Mood for Love being a very expressionistic film, but still having that nuance. But
Yeah.
then one of my other favorite movies, it's also about family, but I didn't pick it this time because I want to save that for another stack, is Yasujiro Ozu's Tokyo Story.
Ah.
Now that is a great example for me at least of that subtle, quiet nuance. And I think Shoplifter maybe treads the line between them somewhere. And I think he
Right.
does a really good job. But yeah, I think this is a great pick, Ethan. A great way to start us off.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, it's off to Brandon for his first pick. Brandon,
Ah,
what you got?
yes. I like movies.
That I know. That I know.
I picked a 2019 movie. You guys just watched it. It's a little on the darker side. It's Julius Ona's film Loose.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
So the way I structured my picks is I wanted to go from darkest dark to lightest light in terms
Okay.
of like tone, as to have like a progression.
Hmm.
So the if you guys haven't seen this movie, talking to the audience here, it's a movie about a kid who is adopted into a white upper middle class family and who basically was raised in a country that wasn't his own. He grew up in Africa and he was adopted by these like white parents who had this ideal set out for him, and it's about this family and the troubles they're going through in order to put this kid um basically at the top of his class. Now this kid is at the top of his class, but little do they know there's something underneath the surface that's always been messing with their kid, played by Kelvin Harrison Jr. And I remember seeing this movie in theaters and being blown away by it, mostly because nobody was talking about it. I had heard about it at all these film festivals, but what really caught me off guard was how fantastic the movie is at showing the roles of the family deconstructed and how there's more than meets the eye when it comes to how those families interact with the people around them, as well as like what pressures sometimes families put on children and that can be very stressful. It can make it really hard to succeed and
Yeah.
be original.
Yeah, I think like when I saw this movie, like I think the first thing that really stood out to me was, of course, Calvin Harrison Jr.'s fantastic performance. I think he's
So
going to be a
good.
star. He's going to be a star one day.
Oh
I
I
yeah.
agree.
really hope he will.
Me too.
Um, and on top of that, when any scene he's in with Octavia Spencer is fantastic, especially that last sequence where they're arguing in her home.
Yes.
Really great. And of course, Naomi Watts and Tim Roth are fantastic as always.
Hmm.
But yeah, Brandon, like you said, this story about like this kid kind of growing up with this family that's like placing certain expectations upon him, and like the character Octavia Spencer's character, and how she kind of like not really, well, maybe actually like manipulates and controls things, changes things, and reorients Calvin Harrison Jr.'s character, to fit this mold that she's almost created for him. And I think like that's a really interesting thing, because like I think within families, like of course there's all the warmth, the love, and everything, but there's also this side of the family dynamic where you have expectations of one another, and of course that is a core part of it, but it's also can be destructive if purpose towards something like that. And yeah, I think like this is a really fantastic depiction of what it's like to grow up in an environment so different from what you are accustomed to, but more importantly, that is almost acting against you.
Hmm.
Ethan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic film if you're looking at like performance wise and screenplay wise. The performances by, I think all the actors are top notch, and the writing is brutal. Like the things that they
Sharp.
say to each other is so sharp and layered.
Mm-hmm.
And you can definitely feel that it's from a play. It was adapted from a play. And that's kind of where my problems lie in the film, where
Ooh.
it's a film about Kelvin Harrison Jr.'s character. He's like a really good a debater. One could say he's a master debater. And sorry, I realized what I was going to say, and I was like, I can't say that. Anyways,
I can't say it, so you said.
I can't say it. No, I can't say it seriously unless I make it a joke. Unless I know that I recognize that I'm saying it as like what I'm saying. Anyways, so there's a lot of he delivers his lines a lot like a debater, and I feel like everyone in this film does. Where I feel like these themes and the messages that film's trying to give you are like being spat at you like a debate. Like as someone's public speaking to you, and I don't find the film all that visually interesting. I find this film kind of rather cold, and
But that's the
Luther.
point.
that it's the point. But like I don't know, I feel like I could have had a little bit more there,
I-
But regardless, the performances in the script are worth the admission, I still like the film a lot, but I don't know.
Can I rebut with something a little bit?
Is this a debate now?
Haha.
All right, yeah, sure. Yeah, try to change my mind, you filthy lib.
I'm not trying to. I just want to say something.
No, next film. All right, Chris. No, I'm just kidding.
The thing that I love about films that are like plays, I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is 12 Angry Men, which is like literally a stage production, is that when you have a film like Loose, a film like Fences, a film like 12 Angry Men, these movies play out like a play because that's all their focus is on. So in other movies where their focus may be towards the spectacle of like a big event or towards the construction of this larger narrative, what I love about films like this is there's such a focus on intimacy between these characters that it cannot get lost in subtext or visuals. It feels like you are deliberately supposed to dig into the subtext that is provided to build a story that is powerful and uniquely focused on family. So yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Okay.
But I don't disagree that those are your fucking tenets of
Yeah.
what you dislike about the movie.
I still don't like the cinematography, but go off, King. I'm sorry. Chris, go into your first film.
All right. Well, we started off this list with something with like pigs that are kind of like more somber-y, so I'm gonna keep that up. And kind of similar to Brandon, I'm like, as my list goes on, it's gonna get a little bit more lighthearted. So I'm gonna start us off with a film from last year. It garnered a lot of Oscar hype, but I don't think it was nominated for anything. And Ethan, I remember you in particular were kind of sad that it got nothing. 2019 film directed by Lulu Wang.
Oh, yes.
The Farewell.
Yeah, there we go.
So this is a very special movie to me. I very much relate to the story unfolding. Of course, like, okay, so how do I break it down? Basically, it's a story revolving around the character of Aquafina. She is a girl who was born and raised in America, but is like a second generation Chinese immigrant. And as part of that, there is a big cultural and social divide between her and the rest of her family back in Beijing. Now, this all comes into play when eventually they find out that her grandmother has terminal cancer, and she returns to China to with the rest of her family to kind of put on this fake wedding to, so that the family can be all together again, and the grandmother is none the wiser. And yeah, I mean, like, of course, like, all the things that happen with this wedding are really interesting, and just seeing like how they keep this secret quiet from the mom, how they keep this secret from the grandmother is really great. But what really struck with me is all those sequences where it's just her, maybe her parents, and like the rest of her extended family arguing about little things and like, the thing is, I've heard these conversations because I've had that conversation with my uncles, my aunts, and my cousins, and my dad has had to defend my side of the family because the thing is, my side of the family are the most westernized side of my Chinese extended family, and as part of that, there's always that conversation like, oh, like, Chris is going to America for college, like what, like, so when you gonna come back and get a real job, so like, that's something that I very much relate to. And like, and it also does speak very, very interestingly. I think Lulu does a great job with kind of tapping into the cultural divides between the West and the East. There's this saying, I think the uncle character says, where it's like, that's the difference between the East and the West. In the East, your life is part of a whole. In the West, your life belongs to you. And I think that's a really interesting concept to explore, the cultural divides between opposite ends of the planet. And just, I don't know, I just think that's such an interesting thing. Ethan, you're a big fan of this movie. What do you think?
Yeah, I too found this film very relatable. Not because I am from China, but I think Lulu Wang does really good.
Ethan Williams, China.
Believe it or not. No, but
I am blown away right now.
I think Lulu Wang does a really good job, like, conveying this dialogue to make it sort of exceed the simple East versus West. That's completely valid in how Chris saw it, and I think that's how she was trying to intend. But I saw this film because right before I saw this film, my grandmother passed away from the exact same illness that the grandmother in this film has, and it was interesting for me because my grandmother in that side of the family is very Mormon, and I feel like it was interesting for me to think about someone who is very not Mormon, having to come back and immerse yourself in this culture dealing with grief, and how I really saw like my place in this family. And I think it's very similar in terms of like the importance of family in this film to like Mormon culture, I guess, where family is one of the most highest like of important things, where they question me. They're like, how they want to know how I am doing um, in terms of making this family larger and being successful as a father to a family. You know, that seems like one of the primary concerns on the surface. But as you start, I feel like as this film goes in, you start to see that these are human beings with these values. But again, they're human beings, you know? And it's just interesting to see that the culture clash in this film that I too found very relatable. This film is extremely gut wrenching. I saw this film twice, first by myself, the second time with my mom, so that made it more impactful, you know. And just it's a beautiful film, and yeah, I was shocked by how little Oscar nominations there were because
I don't
there
think
was so much buzz around the film. You know,
I think it only
it
got
was crazy.
one.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think it
for
only got like screenplay or something like that.
no, it didn't even get screenplay.
What a get!
Wait, what did it get?
I think didn't it get like an acting nom for the grandma, or am I wrong?
I think it got a. I think the gold. Didn't Aquafina win a Golden Globe or something?
Yeah, but she wasn't nominated for an Oscar because
Right.
Oscars don't do comedy.
Did it not get any?
Entirely shut out. It had none.
Wow, really?
Wow. Fuck.
Damn. Stupid. Brandon, you were just talking about how you didn't really relate to this film earlier.
It's not that I don't like this movie.
Even though you gave this 4.5 stars.
No, I do. Fuck, let me speak, motherfucker. If you
Will
let me
you
speak,
shut
maybe
up?
I know.
actually-
Okay, so we know you hate this movie, so go into why you hate it.
Hate this guy. All right. I enjoy this movie. I do think it's not my type of movie. It felt like there was something missing. Like it's the same as the Shoplifters film. It feels a little cold to me. However, I think there's more to mine from this film about family and about cross culture, culture clashing that I find more fascinating than I found Shoplifters. Because even though that movie had a universal message, I found this one more unique in its depictions and how you break down like these relationships between family members. There's just something missing that I wasn't like I didn't love it. Like I really liked it. I think there's like not like basically nothing wrong with it, but I just don't know what I can't put my finger on like what I don't it didn't like it's not a movie I would rate 5 stars because like there's something missing and I can't quite say what it is.
Maybe it's like one of those things where like in like liking this movie is like well like okay, how do I put this? Loving this movie is dependent on your ability to relate to it. Maybe I don't know, maybe that's part of like its prime watching situation.
It's
I don't know.
entirely possible because there were moments in this movie where I was like actually like caring about their relationship as like family members. Like Aquafina and her grandma like have the best chemistry, even though that it's not her real grandma. Um, and I mean I love that relationship they have, but I felt like everything was great, but it didn't hit that next level to make me like adore the movie, give it 5 stars, and say like this is like a groundbreaking film. You know, it didn't really feel like it was doing something that new. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
did like it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's just
I think this is the harshest you've ever spoken about a movie you've given 4.5 stars to.
I literally wasn't that harsh.
I know, but it's just like I don't know. Never mind. Okay. The Farewell. Fantastic film. So now it's up to me again for round 2. Now, my film, we didn't specify whether family films are supposed to be like why we like family films that like to express the love of family. Because mine's about a pretty fucked up family, but it's a family film nonetheless. Brandon, I know you love this film. It got a remake this year.
Straw Dogs. Just kidding.
It's Ruben Ostlund's Force Majeure.
Oh, not Downhill?
Not Downhill. I'm never gonna see that fucking movie in my life because this movie is absolutely incredible. It's I'd say this is a pretty high concept film, honestly. Like you can explain it all in like one sentence about a family, husband, wife, a son, a daughter. They go on a skiing vacation trip. I believe it's in France. I believe
Maybe
it's in France.
Switzerland.
I
It's
know
in Europe.
somewhere in Europe, but I think it's a Swedish director. If I'm
No, you're right.
correctly.
He's
But it's
amazing.
I remember they go to a different country than where they're from.
Maybe
Anyways,
he's Danish.
Danish, yeah, maybe something
Maybe.
like that. Anyways, they go to a ski resort for a vacation, and they're having lunch out on the deck. And this one scene, it was kind of like it became a viral video for a minute. Do you guys remember this? Because
Yes.
it's filmed so like
Cinema
someone
verite.
actually cinema verite, where they're sitting there having lunch and an avalanche comes down and almost hits them, and you see the dad's first reaction is saving himself while the mom goes for the kids. Like the dad runs away from the family while the mom goes for the kids, and basically the entire rest of the film is the mom trying to figure out why he would do that, and the dad basically denying that and like basically gaslighting her for his own pride. But like you both feel like both characters are in the right, but like it's just such a weird deconstruction of
A marriage.
a marriage and family dynamics and what it means to be a parent. And sorry, mom and dad, for listening, but I saw a lot of my own family when we have our own scuffles in this
Wow.
film. Just sort of like, I don't know, just the awkwardness, you know? It's like, it's not like a dramatic film, you know? Like, the arguments are so incredibly cringe worthy, you know? Not like cringe, like, lol, fucking cringe. Like, you're like, oh my god, this fucking hurts to watch, you know? And it's a beautiful film. I love the cinematography. I love the score. I think they just use like classical pieces in this film, but it's so good. It reminds me of when I used to go, at least visually, not in terms of the narrative. When I used to go skiing all the time as a kid, you know, and these resorts and stuff like that. And it's a wonderful film. And yeah, Force Majeure. Brandon, what do you think of Force Majeure?
Ooh, it's a good movie. It's a really
Yeah.
good movie. Very uncomfortable movie.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not easily uncomfortable in films. Like, as my friends know, like any violence and sex don't really get to me like it gets to like other people in cinema, where they're like, oh, they have to look away, cover their eyes. This movie, it almost makes you want to look away, and that's from my perspective, just because of what Ethan just said. Like, the characters in this film, just unrelenting uncomfortableness, because yes, they're both kind of in the right in their perspective. I still think the mother character is more in the right.
Yeah,
However,
definitely.
yeah, but it's just like there's a gray area there to dissect this family dynamic, and it does it in a very comic way, but at this, like, a darkly comic way. It's almost morbid, versus like painted on this melancholic, angry backdrop, very cynical too. But I do have a qualm maybe with it being a family movie. I know they have, okay, hear me out. um I'm not going to disagree that the family is in the film. I just consider it more of a focus on the mother and husband. I don't really look at it as like a relationship piece about the kids and the parents. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it has to have both. It doesn't necessarily have to, I guess, but I think it's not technically like family.
I have to disagree on that one, because like I don't know, I feel like the kids and their relationship to the parents is pretty essential for understanding like what the parents are going through in this film, you know? And yeah, like one of my favorites there's a scene in the film that involves the entire family towards the end, where it's just like it's super emotional and stuff like that, and like none of the drama would work if this wasn't about a family, you know?
I just think they're not as big of a focus as the married couple in the film. Is that fair?
Well, that's fine, but it's still about a family with the parents being the leads.
Yeah, I just wish I would have seen more parents talking to kids about what happened. I mean, they do, but
They
it's not.
they do a lot. What are you talking about?
I don't think they do a lot.
I
I think they do it a little bit.
I think they do a lot. Anyways, Chris, you
Never
haven't
seen
seen
it.
this film. You never seen this
No.
film, but you definitely should. Okay,
Sick.
Brandon. Cool.
My number 2 movie. It often gets overshadowed despite the fact that it won Best Picture. In 1980, it's a film directed by Robert Redford, one of the few movies he ever directed that was up for major award consideration, and that's Ordinary People. And I don't know if you guys have seen this movie.
Have not,
Have you even
but
heard of
it's
it?
on my watch list. Yeah, it's in
I
your
would
top
put it in your
100.
top
That's all I
25,
know.
I think.
There you go.
It's
Is
this
it in your
movie
top
about
10?
the.
Sorry. Is it in your top 10?
It's in my top 50. I don't know if
Okay.
it's in my top 10. I don't think it is. Ordinary People is this movie about a teenage boy in this family who are grappling with a lot of different issues of the time that kind of feel modern today, because in the 70s, 60s, and 50s, and even the early 80s, I think there's this sense of happy nuclear family living in suburbia, right? And much like my first film, Loose, it's a little on the darker side, kind of like Ethan. It has some dark comedy in it, but it's about this son who has PTSD after his brother dies in a boating accident. And his brother is like 2 or 3 years older than him, but was still a teenager. And as a result, the younger brother tries to kill himself early in the movie. So it deals with depression, PTSD, suicide, things that are really prevalent, I think, in modern society. And it tackles this in a very intimate and emotional way. And it doesn't feel all the time like a melodrama. Like, it definitely has parts of it that are melodramatic. But it kind of takes... It was like the Good Will Hunting before Good Will Hunting, if
Interesting.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the way that Timothy Hutton, the lead actor in the film, has this relationship with his parents, played by Mary Tyler Moore and Donald Sutherland, you really feel the pain that each member of the family is going through, because the mother doesn't really want to look at her son because her son reminds her of the older brother, and she kind of blames him for the older brother's death. And then the father is just trying to grapple with his place in the family and moving on. Whereas Timothy Hutton is dealing with these really big mental issues. So I think it's a very fascinating movie that breaks down the mental dichotomy of what a family is. The problem is that it was overshadowed by Scorsese's Raging Bull, which I don't even think was nominated for Best Picture at the time, but everybody was saying it should have won.
Right.
And I kind of disagree with that statement.
Oh.
So check it out, guys. I know you haven't seen it, but what do you think?
Put up the I kind of disagree counter.
But you haven't
Ding
seen
with
it.
a question mark. Ding. Yeah, no, I've been meaning to check out this film because it's in your top 25, and I want to go through all your favorites, Brandon, at some point.
Because I did yours.
Because you did mine. Well, you haven't done mine because I've added some more that you haven't seen. So
Altered States, yeah. It's not on HBO Max anymore.
I got the Blu-ray, so
Give it to me.
okay. But yeah, I know I've heard this as a lot of cornerstone about dysfunctional family cinema. You know, this film is always tossed around, and I don't know too much about it besides what you just said. So I'm interested. I definitely want to check it out. Chris, you in the same boat as me?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. Until you said that, Brandon, I didn't know Robert Redford directed movies as well.
What?
So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. He's one of those weird, like, random actors. I always know his name. I know he's legendary, but I've only seen 2 of his movies.
Captain America.
3, actually. No, three. Technically 3. One is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and Avengers: Endgame.
Yeah, I forgot it.
That was his
last role before he retired.
Yeah, I remember
hilarious.
you. Real quick side note: I do remember the 2 of you, especially because I know you guys love him.
Yeah,
kind of like shitting
Robert.
your pants when you saw him, like, he's back.
It was crazy. I did
Yeah,
not
but
expect it because he
I
made
love
his
Robert
retirement
Redford.
with Old Man and the Gun. So like
yeah.
this is my final. It's great. Anyways,
But yeah, Brandon, you like I think like what we've been talking about a lot like throughout this podcast is like how we're also tapping into this darker side of family relationships. And I think that's going to switch it up a bit as we go on. I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys, but like yeah,
Definitely.
I think like we're really addressing like family is important, and but because it is, that sometimes leads to like conflict, leads to drama, leads to like things that aren't as pleasant as all the sunshine, rainbows, and whatever that you might traditionally associate with family. But yeah, I think this is. I mean, I don't know anything about this movie other than what you said, but I'm sold.
Good. I'm glad I sold you guys.
Yeah. All right. Do you have it on DVD?
I do.
Okay. Might have to red box it from you sometime.
Wow.
What? You have your little red box system where we can come and you have the red box little cases and we can rent it
Yeah.
out.
You can give me your movie.
He
All
was
right.
in Pete's Dragon.
Yeah. He's in
He's
the
good.
new one. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Ooh.
Cool. All right, Chris. What's your second pick?
All right, so my second pick is a 2018 film, also a film directed by an Asian American, John M. Chu's Crazy Rich Asians.
Ah.
Nah, that's not it. I
Oh.
thought we were gonna have a double stack.
Oh, I don't know.
And then he said Asian director. I was
Anyway, Asian director. It must be this one. Okay, so John M. Chu's Crazy Rich Asians. I really, really love this movie. I think it does such a wonderful job. Once again, showing kind of similarly to The Farewell, that interesting mix between the East and West philosophies on family and things like that. So this movie follows this character played by Constance Wu. Her name's Rachel, I believe, and she travels to Singapore with her boyfriend, played by Henry Golding, who was fantastic.
Hobo.
Big hubba hubba energy. And
He is kind of a hunk.
yeah. And but then on their trip, she discovers that Henry Golding's character's family is extremely wealthy. And of course there is a social economic component to this movie that is very prominent, and you really get to see how that interplays with the sense of false elitism that kind of pervades over people that are atop the socioeconomic ladder. But I think what really keeps drawing me back to this film is how we navigate Rachel's struggle with with Henry Golding's character's mother. I think it's such a apt story about meeting someone from a foreign land that you've and just wanting so desperately to be with this person, but your cultural differences kind of tear you apart from one another. And there's this one line in this movie that I'm forgetting her name, but I'm gonna hate myself for this later. Henry Golding's mother's the mother of Henry Golding, Michelle Yeoh, yes, she is fantastic, by the way, amazing actress. Anyway, so she says this line to Rachel, and the line is, "Following your dreams, how American of you." And I think that sums it up really well. This idea of pursuing your desire, only because it's what calls to you, is something that is almost a very Western idea. Because oftentimes I feel like in the East, you're encouraged only to pursue something that provides material benefit or, elite status, whether that be for business, for medicine, for law. And I think it's just it's so interesting to see how that interplays with these characters. And also, this is one of the first Hollywood movies in many, many generations that featured an all Asian cast. And I don't know, I think that's pretty huge. I was so happy about that.
It's huge.
Yeah.
That's the main reason why I didn't see it. I'm just kidding.
You didn't see? Oh, wait, you haven't seen this movie?
I haven't seen this film because
What?
let me tell you why I haven't seen
Huh?
this film. Okay, so this
Barbecue?
came out in August of 2018. Okay, this was
Ooh.
during the steady crash of MoviePass. Now you two know
Wow.
that I was one of the last people struggling with MoviePass. You two both joined AMC A List pretty early on, and I was still on that MoviePass train until it smashed into the fucking river into the abyss, and I was like, oh boy, what movies can I see with my MoviePass? And when this film came out, I was like, yeah, you can't really see anything, and I was like, I was a broke sophomore, you know, so this is before I had a job, and I was like, oh, I guess I can't really see any other movies. I mean, I spent all my money seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp 4 times, 5 times,
Wow.
6 times. I saw it like 8 times in theaters. So I didn't get to. I wasn't able to see it in theaters, and
Or at all.
I just haven't been able to see it. And Chris, maybe this is a film you got to show me. You know,
Yeah, I'm hoping to
because I know
throw
you
this
really love
on
it.
for. I'd love to throw this on for a movie night one night. Yes. What?
You should watch double feature of Wall Street and Crazy Rich Asians.
We can't do that.
Liar.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to do double features anymore because of the curfew.
Oh yeah.
Don't.
Scratch that down.
Okay, Brandon, what do you think about this movie?
I thought this movie was gonna suck. If I'm gonna be completely honest. I remember seeing the trailers.
Well, like,
for
yeah,
this.
didn't John M. Chu direct one of your least favorite movies ever?
Never say never.
I just
Didn't he direct that?
I think that was the guy who did Super Size Me.
I thought he did a Justin Bieber thing.
I think it was maybe a thing. Look it up. Huh?
I'll look it up real
you.
quick. I got you. Go ahead.
But I remember working at the theater and seeing the trailer for this like every time I went to see any movie, and I was just like, and they played the same jokes like that you would expect a romantic comedy trailer to play. Okay, yes, he's directed one of my least favorite films ever made.
Yeah, I'm kind of a whiz kid. I'm kind of an all knowledge knowing a film.
He did also direct one of your favorite movies ever made.
No. It's a good IMAX film, but not a good movie. But I thought that Crazy Rich Asians was gonna suck, and I went to see it with my sister, and we both were really moved by the movie. It was just a good film about like you said, family dynamics. Another movie like The Farewell that deals with cultural clashing, and I think it does a more entertaining job at doing it, and it did feel a little bit warmer because it felt like the person was fighting back against the traditional norms versus The Farewell, where it's kind of like, well, we're different cultures. So they're two very different films.
Yeah.
But they deal with similar things, and I really enjoyed the comedy in this. Awkwafina is not annoying. She had 2 great performances where she wasn't annoying back to back, and I was like, hell yeah. And not only that, but I feel like Constance Wu and Henry Golding are very great. They have great chemistry together, and that whole relationship and the way it's broken down, it feels like a magical Cinderella story, even though it technically isn't.
Ooh.
It's a good film.
Good film. I gotta watch it. All right, let's get into our final round here.
Okay.
Okay. Starting with moi, and my last film is a superhero film.
No.
Came out in 2017.
What?
Directed by one and only James Gunn.
Oh,
It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
yeah.
Now you may be asking, why did you put this film over the first one? Because that one's sort of like a family coming together. I don't necessarily agree. I don't know if they were a family yet. But this next one, the sequel, it's like, it's slowly overcoming the first film as one that I like more in the Guardians films. I don't know. Because I just find this film so much more rich in its themes about family. And it's got all sorts of plot lines going on here that are so emotional to me. You have Peter Quill and his dilemma of should I stick with my blood family, or this family that I found. And it's about him realizing that these group of misfits that travel the galaxy and make money together, that this has become a family to him. And it took his celestial father wanting to take over the world with Kurt Russell's Ego the Living Planet for him to realize that, you know? And then you have the plot line of Rocket Raccoon and Yondu, which is, oh my god, it destroys me, about a character who is too scared to be part of a family because he doesn't want to disappoint those in which he loves, you know? And he doesn't, it kind of scares him to think about that people love and care about him, because he wants that so badly. He just doesn't believe that the universe has treated him fair enough for him to have that, you know? And that's coming about a talking raccoon in a space opera, you know? That's crazy.
Ooh,
and then you have the plot with Yondu, where he's basically having to convince Rocket that no, like, don't become what I became, and rejected my own family because of these same reasons, you know? He's sort of the failed father in the story, and it's just, it's a beautiful film. I think this is the film that has, Chris, you may agree with me, I think it has the best cinematography in any Marvel film.
In all of Marvel movies, this is the best cinematography.
It's absolutely, the colors, the shot composition, like, I think out of any Marvel film, the stills of Peter sitting in Ego the Living Planet ship. Do you know that frame I'm talking about? Where it's just like,
I think so.
Him in the bottom left, and then this like beautiful thing around him. It's so simple, but it's just so like, I don't know, it's so good. And then Gamora sitting on Ego the Living Planet.
Oh yeah, and then the knife.
Yeah, and then she cuts the bush. I just like, it's vibrant, it's colorful, and it just plays the emotions. It's got one of the best endings ever. Like I said, it's a raccoon fucking crying at a funeral, knowing that there will be people who will mourn and celebrate him just like this. Mm-hmm. And that's literally the last frame in the film is him realizing that. And it's just like, whew. I did not see this coming from a Marvel film. Like, it's definitely the most complex of Marvel Studios films, I believe. And each time I rewatch it like, I love it more and more. What do you guys think?
I adore this movie. I remember, Guardians is my favorite Marvel movie. The first one is my favorite Marvel movie ever made. Right. And it's in my top 25. It's
amazing.
Endgame.
It's a masterpiece.
But this is like very, very close third or maybe fourth, I think. But no, Ethan, you're right. I think like one thing this movie ups the ante on more. Of course it does, like, with the special effects, with the plot, with the narrative, and like the grander like scheme of the story. But I think it really ups its game with this emotional component that, although we do get in the first film, I think it really comes into form here.
Yeah.
How do I put this? I've only really cried in a Marvel movie during Civil War and Endgame and Infinity War. So for Guardians 1, but Guardians 2 surprised me. I didn't think I would cry in that movie, but I did. There's something so like ethereal about this movie for me. I think, like, of course, the visuals, the music.
Right.
Also, I know a lot of people point to the Guardians movies for an amazing soundtrack, and they do. Mm-hmm. Also, Tyler Bates' original score is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think he does a great job.
Underrated.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, like Ethan, like you said, like, it's almost like it's bigger, but it's also in a weird way more intimate.
Yeah.
And it's just so like interesting to me how they're able to, like, I mean, for God's sakes, you sympathize with a fucking raccoon.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I'm like, there's a scene like I'm not gonna try and spoil it, but Yondu. Did we already spoil what happens to him?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2,
if you haven't seen
it's
MCU movie,
it's $1 billion movie. I think it's close to $1 billion. So you can spoil it. Yondu dies.
So Yondu does die by the end of the movie, but oh my god, like when Peter's doing everything he can to save the person he now realizes was his dad all along.
Yes,
fucking can't take that shit off him, and it's like. And then, like, I don't know, it's just so fucking, like, moving the desperation between a son trying to help his father and like just realizing like, I think like one thing that happens a lot, especially with kids, is we take our parents for granted, although we
Yeah.
never should. I think like a lot of time we're like, oh, I'm moving on to this new phase of my life. I'm doing all this other shit. And like, of course, like, yeah, that's a natural part of growing up. But at the same time, you'll only realize how valuable that was to you when it's gone.
Yeah.
And I think this movie really hammers that in. And that funeral scene with Cat Stevens, father and son, annihilates me every time.
Yeah, I can't listen to that song the same now. It's amazing. Brandon?
Where Guardians of the Galaxy is a great movie about friendship, I think Guardians 2 is a great movie about family.
Ah, yes.
I remember seeing this movie on opening night with a bunch of my friends from Harkins, the theater I used to work at, and kind of being disappointed by it. I was expecting, I went in expecting James Gunn to do the same thing, because often with Marvel, and this is one of my big criticisms, despite the fact that I do enjoy their films and the discourse surrounding them recently, is that they kind of try to be too repetitive, and I just went in expecting that, that repetitive nature, and I was really thrown off when it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't as funny, and I think it was more focused on the story, and like Chris said, like, there is a lot of spectacle to this film, but it doesn't lose sight of what's really important and the subplots that are really important. Maybe it's just that it wasn't expecting it to go the way it did, and that's why I was left disappointed. But since I've rewatched it maybe once or twice before Infinity War and Endgame, and I remember both of those times on rewatch, I enjoyed it more each time I watched it, and I took more from it. And maybe that's because of Rocket Raccoon's arc in the film being as excellent as it is. I think it carries it. And the fact that his character, who's basically CGI, not even motion capture technically, because like,
no, Sean Gunn does the motion capture for it. His brother.
I really liked the film regardless of if it had like motion capture for his character.
Right.
It just, I don't know. I feel like I really like it, but I feel like I'm not ready to have the conversation that the second one is better than the first, but I completely understand that discourse and evaluation.
Yeah.
But as that's not what we're discussing, as a family movie, it works fine.
I think the first one still has that sentimental value
for me,
just being so surprised of how amazing that film was.
Yeah, because I remember going,
I remember
going to that movie the first one, and just thinking like, oh, this is going to be some knockoff Avengers.
Right.
I like them more than the Avengers.
Yeah. It's just
Avengers is like, that movie,
I thought you were about to say boring.
No, I think the first Avengers has aged not as well.
It's aged, yeah. I think the majority of Phase 1 hasn't aged well.
I would agree with that.
If I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But I think Captain America has actually become better, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
all
Captain
the other
America
ones have become
and
worse.
Iron Man are the ones that are like that haven't aged.
I would agree with that.
I remember it like that the summer that it came out was a very formative time in my life as well. I think for both of these films, because this is when we were graduating high school is when this film came out in May of 2017, and this came out at a time where I was like really gonna like about to say goodbye for a while to my friends that I'd be like of these relationships that I built over years, and I think this film was a really good coping mechanism for that for me personally, and it's a battle I have every day in my head of which Guardians film is better. To be honest, it's hard. One day I'm one way, the next day the other. So, but goddamn, let's just say I'm excited for James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, because if he delivers something like the Guardians films on an emotional level with The Suicide Squad, talk about the redemption of a century. That would be insane.
It's not very hard to top that bar, Ethan.
It's not hard to top
David Ayer's
Suicide Squad, but to fucking exceed it to the level of Guardians of the Galaxy movies, you know?
Don't get ahead of yourself.
I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I'm just gonna say they got King Shark in there and Polka Dot Man, and I'm hyped as hell. So, anyways, that's my last film. Brandon, go into your last film.
My last movie is a movie we've all watched together.
My name is JF. Sorry.
2018.
Another 2018 film.
Sean Anders directed film Instant Family.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You're a genius.
I did it for you, Chris. Fucking did it for you, Chris.
No.
You smart. You loyal. You a genius.
Okay.
All right, break it down.
Talk about Instant Family.
Okay. I did not go in expecting to like this movie. I didn't even know what it was about going in. Like, I had seen like maybe one trailer and been like, oh, that looks kind of cute. And Chris and I dragged Ethan's ass to see this movie because he did not want to see it. He had seen that's an understatement. He had seen stuff and he'd been like, I don't like it. I don't like movies like that. And we're like, come on, it'll be great. And while Chris and I were sitting there enjoying ourselves, this guy was sitting there groaning and cringing as the audience around him laughed. Not enveloped in the Thanksgiving Christmas atmosphere that this film provided. This movie is about this couple who wants to adopt a kid because they don't want to have a kid of their own. They want to skip the steps of the baby stages, you know, and they want to impress their friends and their family, and they want to do it for self-interest. And then it becomes less about that and more about the family that they adopt, to the point where like it's this really heartwarming movie about this adoptive family becoming a family. And there's trials in it and tribulations regarding the original parent of these children, as well as the fact of these kids don't really know this family. They've been accustomed to a past life, and this new life for them is kind of hard to adjust to. And for anybody who grew up in a household like I did, where I had foreign exchange students for years, it was a very, like, I would say very relatable movie, because my parents had similar situations where they wouldn't be prepared for these teenage situations happening, because I was a kid and they weren't prepared for disciplining somebody who's older or comforting somebody who really isn't their kid. And yeah, I just really connected with this movie. Chris, do you want to talk about it before Ethan slams it?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it, I mean, talk about an adorable movie.
Right.
I mean, like, you know, what a great, like, depiction of, you know, just these, like, parents trying to do their best for their kids, but also a sister doing the best for her siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just so, like, I don't know, I saw a little bit of my family in this, in the sense of, like, you see the guys of, like, not the guys, through the eyes of these parents, like, what it's like to be a parent. And it's so, like, I don't know, there's just something so, like, real to it about me. I know it's not a drama or anything like that, but it is, like, there's an endearing quality to how, like, this is a normal, like, thing. Like, there's a scene where Rose Byrne and Mark Wahlberg's character gets called daddy by, that sounds weird, gets called dad by his adopted daughter for the first time, and it's the most, like, it's the sweetest thing. And, like, I don't know, there's just something so, like, heartwarming about it. I don't know, like, sue me. Fuck
it's
you,
lighthearted, humorous. It really captures what it's like to be in a family. Sometimes it's kind of cringe, but you like it.
No. Okay.
All right, Ethan, why don't you
when I walked into this theater, it felt like I found the glitch in the Matrix. This movie felt like somebody, like an AI wrote the script. Everything about this film felt so fucking fake. I could not believe it. The jokes were just nothing jokes, and everyone in the theater was just laughing their ass off.
Including
The
yours
Mewtwo,
truly.
in yours truly, and it's just like it felt like it was edited by trailer editors for the movie. You know, Mark Wahlberg's not that great of an actor, and none of these people in the movie were acting that great. It just felt everything. It was the most predictable movie ever. I knew exactly how everything was gonna go. I'm like, oh yeah, they adopt kids. The kids hate them. Parents think they're failures, and they get together at the end. Okay, cool. Good thing I didn't pay money for this because he's made AMC A-list, or I would have thought I wasted my money. I could have told everyone this movie. I could have made this movie myself. No, I'm just kidding. Not to discredit anybody who worked on this movie, but it did. It just felt like oh my god.
How could you say that about
It
the
felt like
director of Daddy's
it felt like a movie that characters would be watching in another movie. You know what I'm saying?
They have good taste.
All right. The faster we move on from this movie, the better. So, Chris, take us into your final film.
All right. Man, okay. Throughout this entire podcast, I've been trying to knock it down between these last two films that I've been trying to. And honestly, part of me really wants to pick this one movie because it would complete my stack trilogy
of Asian families.
Of Asian families. But I can't lie to myself and give you that when I know in my heart there's another movie that I would pick over it.
Okay.
The movie that I was gonna pick,
Instant Family. It's a double stack.
No, the film that I was gonna pick instead of what I actually am gonna pick was Anish Chaganty's Searching.
Oh.
Now that's a great family film, but that's not what I picked. We'll come back to that maybe one day when we do like virtual movies or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll find a time. Best John M. Chu movies. We'll figure it out. But okay, my pick is a 2017 film. It's screened at Dodge. It's a Lee Unkrich movie called Coco.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He went, oh.
Oh.
Okay. Were you thinking I was going to say like Shape of Water or something?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting anything. Tell me about Coco.
All right, so Coco follows this young boy who, more than anything, really wants to be a great musician. He has nothing more in his heart than wanting to meet and be the next Ernesto de la Cruz. Now, here's the thing. His grandmother is seriously against music. And that is because his great grandfather kind of walked out on the family to pursue his life as a musician. But here's where things get interesting. Eventually, during the Day of the Dead celebration festival, he finds his way into the land of the dead, and he goes on this adventure and meets all these creative and very colorful cast of characters, and it's so endearing. And my God, like you really start to see like, you know, I think like a lot of kids who are pursuing careers and things, especially like for me as someone who is pursuing a career in a family built predominantly of people involved in business and whatnot, wanting to pursue a creative career is something that oftentimes can feel a little alienating. So this was a very comforting movie for me to see. And I don't know, just seeing like this idea of like being oneself while also honoring your obligations to your family, I think that's something that's really powerful. And he changes things and he helps his family learn. And I think that's so inspiring to me. And oh my gosh, there's the twist. I'm not going to spoil it because it's too good of a twist to spoil. But there's a wonderful twist in this movie that just punches you in the gut and just, you know, warms your heart every time and breaks it nonetheless. And man, there's this song like Remember Me.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
And it breaks your heart every time. There's this one scene towards the end of the movie where the main character, I think his name Miguel?
Yeah.
Yeah, he sings Remember Me for his great grandma. And that breaks me every time. I will never not cry at that scene. Because it reminds me of my great grandma, who I got to meet once. And also reminds me of my grandma, who is, like aging and like, starting to, you know, move,
Mm-hmm.
be in that later part of her life. But yeah, I don't know. It's so endearing. I think that's the word I'd use.
Why
What
are
do
you
you guys
crying?
think of? What are you doing? Stop it.
I white crying.
What do you guys think of this movie?
Oh, I have warm, fuzzy memories of seeing this for the first time. Um, I remember college first semester for me was not what I expected it to be. Not saying I didn't have my friends, but I was having a hard time finding my place, and I remember seeing this movie with I think Chris and Troy. Pretty sure, right, Chris?
I don't remember, to be
I
honest. I don't
think we
even.
saw it together,
Yeah.
and it was the first Dodge screening I remember going to, and it was really impactful for me because of its themes of family in a time where I was trying to like figure out whether or not I belonged at this place, this very foreign place to me because I had to readapt to a new school, a new environment, much like Ethan did. And you, Chris.
And
uh,
every college
and
student,
no,
because
not
nobody.
everybody, because like some people like were from like Southern California, but like all of us grew up outside of that bubble.
Right.
So, I mean, and Coco hit me in a soft place. I grew up around Hispanic communities that celebrated Day of the Dead, and I remember being really like pulled into this world that Leon Critch kind of created and adapted from real Hispanic culture. Um, the songs are wonderful. I was thinking about if we ever did a Pixar list to put this on there because this movie is just so wonderful, culturally relevant. It's Pixar's first musical, and I think that's really cool.
Oh yeah,
It is their first
Uh,
musical.
mhm.
that's
Holy
crazy.
shit. I never realized they'd
um,
never done a musical until this movie.
yeah, it was vibrant and like the way the world of the dead is created, like and has these like levels of class is kind of interesting as well. It's a very culturally appropriate film, and I remember thinking, I saw the trailer, didn't look super great, and then we saw it, and I was just like, it was like somebody was telling me, "You suck. Your expectations are wrong," because this movie is amazing.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
such a beautiful film. It's one of the most visually distinct films of Pixar's uh, filmography, I guess, of Pixar's library because it's so tapped into Mexican culture, the music, the lights, the decorations about Day of the Dead. And oh man, I can't believe that I love the musical numbers in this movie. You know how I am with some musicals, I'm a bit
little
more just
baby.
I'm a little baby towards them, and these ones they slapped. And I think while I have heard that there's some controversy around the film that sort of parallels the plot to the movie, where uh, the story of the film was stolen from someone else. I don't know. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard stuff about that is a problem. But still, I know that this movie means a lot to a lot of people, and I think its themes of remember your who you are and remember your ancestors, you know, especially when this came out in during the time for many Mexican Americans,
Right after.
remembering your culture and being proud of it is like that's something a lot of people need to hear at that time, and that's beautiful. It's a beautiful film. Good pick, Chris. All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's all of our family movies. So before we look at no double stacks, so this is gonna be hard to see what we want to put for our final stack. But before we do that, let's run through each of our picks, shall we? All right. So I started off with Shoplifters, Force Majeure, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Brandon,
Yes,
what are your movies?
I had loose, ordinary people and instant family.
Chris?
I had The Farewell, Crazy Rich Asians, and Coco.
Okay. Anybody got any pitches? Anybody got any good themes? How about we do Shoplifters, The Farewell, and Crazy Rich Asians? Movies about Asian families.
Okay.
No.
Let's do it.
No.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm trying to pick up like some unique themes from each of our films.
I think we
should pick one Asian movie
Okay.
because
I think yeah.
here's my thinking at least. I think we should do a stack about all around the world.
All
we're
around the world.
encompassing
Families
what it means to be in a
around the
family.
world.
Families around the world.
As to not just go by what our ancestors were doing with pillaging the natives and only thinking about America. We should think
Thanksgiving. Yes.
Yes.
Yo,
I'm pulling
they
it back around.
cowboys
Okay.
and natives, they're helping each other out.
I'm down with that. If we're gonna pick a Asian movie, let's do The Farewell. Because I haven't seen Crazy Rich Asians, but it seems like they share similar themes of East versus West, as you're talking about, Chris. I don't know.
I think that's the one I'm the warmest on that would have been chosen because I know you would want to see it, Ethan.
Yeah.
So
I think we should put Farewell in and only switch that out for Crazy Rich Asians if the others are like very somber and we want a lighthearted twist.
Okay.
Like if we swap those two, but like let's see what else we got. What do you guys have any other we got to get this in here?
Coco?
Coco would be cool. I mean, like what would be our third
Instant Fam?
No.
Yes, Chris, you have the power.
No.
2 out of 3. Override him.
No, please, Chris. I am fucking begging.
Chris,
Okay,
I know how much you like Instant Family.
Yes. But okay, wait, Brandon, I'm going to entertain your idea, but I'm going to give Ethan a chance to give me a better pitch. Let's see if he's
Guardians
got
of the
it.
Galaxy Volume 2. I think that should be on this list.
It's family in space?
Yeah, come on. That's so out there.
That's not relatable.
Are you kidding me?
Shut up. Go.
Shut up. If out of all the films on my list that I want on the final stack, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I just think it's vibrant, it's hilarious, but I think it's also one of the most complex about what's your place in a family and what do you want out of a family, you know?
Ethan, let me
and
ask
guess
you a
what?
question.
It's one of the most relatable films across the globe because it's not on Earth. It's in space. It can be by anybody.
Let me just ask you a question.
Okay.
Which movie has family in the title?
All right, so this is going to be a one film stack of instant family. According to your argument.
Hey, that's okay with me.
Yeah, that's okay with me, man.
Well, I know Ordinary People has no shot to make it on here.
I'll do it. I'll put it on. Look, it sounds interesting. But I think that's the darkest we can go, because that sounds pretty fucked up.
Loose is pretty dark, too. Loose is darker, I think. Despite the
I don't know
title.
if that film's main theme is about family, though.
Belonging in
I think it's speaking bigger to American culture and stuff like that, you know?
Okay.
And race relations. I don't think that's necessarily about family. Ordinary People, I've heard it's a great film about family.
Yes.
Okay, here's my pitch. All right. So, if we want something really fun to kick it off and vibrant, I'm okay with Crazy Rich Asians. I think that sounds fun. Then we go something really dark with Ordinary People. And then we have a really complex film, but with great, vibrant visuals, again, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 to kick it off. Because I think that's a great ending.
I think that's a good way to do it. I might ask if we're doing that, if we're doing Crazy Rich Asians, could we switch that to Coco?
Yeah.
Because I think...
I prefer
I'd be okay with that.
Brandon, how dark is Ordinary People as a movie?
It's pretty dark. I mean, there's humor in it, but it's like morbid. And then when it is there, it's like few and far between.
Let me put it this way. If we were to watch Ordinary People, what mood do you want to go into that with? Do you want to be sad and like kind of heartwarmed? Or do you want to be jumping for the skies happy?
Sad.
I think Coco then. Because Crazy Rich Asians leaves you so fucking happy.
I agree.
Yeah?
Yeah, Ordinary People is like... It starts out dire, and then it kind of has the same tone throughout as Good Will Hunting, which I know we've talked about on the pod. So, Yeah.
Okay.
I think this list
It's a good-
Coco,
it could
so
be
that
a
would be
good
Coco,
pairing.
Ordinary, and then Guardians.
Look at that. The Stacked Boys are picking the shill movie about the capes with the Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Is
What
this
a
the first
bunch
Marvel
of fucking
movie?
fakes. Yeah, this is our first MCU movie on picked in the final stack.
Hey,
I think
proud.
I've mentioned a couple others, but this is our first one.
MCU pride, dude.
MCU
kicks
pride.
ass.
Those movies are fun. Stop being so boring. I know they're kind of they don't
They're
have
like all
much.
corporate, but I don't care.
I don't care that they're all corpo and they don't have much depth that you want from a fucking Scorsese film. They're fun as fuck. Who cares if they're like a roller coaster ride? Brandon loves roller coasters, right?
I love.
What's
them.
wrong with a good old roller coaster ride? You know what? I watched Peter Jackson's King Kong the other day, and that was like, okay, this feels like a Universal ride for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
It really does, yeah. I totally feel that.
Like, who cares? Movies were meant to be like attractions when they were first conceived.
But that
Anyways.
doesn't mean they can't be art too. We're not saying that. But we're also saying let us have fun.
I just got a text from my roommate Ben saying it'll be the last MCU movie on Stacked.
Bet.
Well, all right. This might be the last episode of Stacked if we keep up our bullshit.
Yeah, like we're gonna get one view. It's gonna be Brandon.
Now my other roommate said
gonna be
cringe
Kevin
choice.
Feige.
Yeah, this is now a cringe podcast. Totally corpo. We've gone corpo. We're just
Kevin,
we sold
we're a bunch
out.
of fucking shills. God
Kevin
damn it.
Feige is our only viewer now.
It's just Kevin Feige
Oh
and
my
John
God.
Lasseter.
God damn it. All
Okay.
right. Let's run down this final stack so the angry mob of film philosophs can stop chasing after us. All right. So this is Stack's official 2020 family movie stack. Starting with
Lee Unkrich's 2017 film Coco, a wonderful movie about family, belonging, identity, and just accepting oneself and those around you with all the love in the world. Beautiful movie. Our second film is
Ordinary People. A film about real dysfunctional families and really big issues that I think modern film kind of shies away from tackling, but this film doesn't shy away at all. It's brave.
It's brave. And our final film is about recognizing that these idiots that you hang out with every single day, they might be your family after all. That's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's got the laughs, it's got the emotions, it's got the tears, it's got the oohs, the ahs, the spectacle. And it's just a great way to end off this stack because it ends with knowing that no matter where you are and who you are, there are people out there who love you and will cry at your funeral when you go. Wow, that's kind of a sad way to end off this episode, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Well, happy day after Thanksgiving. Go microwave up some turkey now. And,
Leftovers are good.
Make a sandwich.
Yeah, make a little sandwich with a bread roll. You know, this is what Milo does. Guest on the show, he takes one of the Thanksgiving roll and then he just puts turkey in it. You know, that's a little turkey sandwich right there. You know, good stuff. Anyways, yeah, enjoy your little the last few days of your Thanksgiving break, everybody. And we'll see you in December. Wow, that's crazy. We're almost at the end of the year. Anyways, bye everybody. So
Thanks,
long.
guys.
Bye.
Jesus,
What is
Bye.
that? A nuke?
Bye.
No!